Good evening, everyone. How are you all today? Thank you guys for coming tonight. And we'll just jump right into the chat because tonight is a live impromptu of Q&A. I totally, unashamedly am copying the professor, what he did last week. Part of it is because I have been busy with a couple of music projects that I just need to get done by the end of this month. So a lot of this will be probably maybe the next couple of weeks, some really light material, maybe another Q&A. Who knows? Depends on how this one goes. I'm just muting my YouTube there, and hopefully everyone is doing great. I did see. Well, first of all, audio good? Can you guys hear me? In fact, I'll check down on the comments to see if audio is good before I scroll back up on the comments. But yeah, anything on audio, if it sounds great, if you need the mic closer, if the mic is connected. I think it's connected. I hear me, so. But if it sounds like it's washed out or there's a little bit of reverb or kind of a comb filter, let me know there as well. And we'll just go ahead and welcome the chat until then. So Paladin Demo was first. He calls dibs, so we'll see what that means, right? And Professor Geek is quite upset about that. He wanted to be first. And Big Al, always encouraging. Have a great stream. Thank you. And I hope you guys had a fun day today, a fun afternoon get together, you and the prof. I hope all is well with you and also your family and your mom, of course. So, please let us know how she's doing. I like this. No, I'm the paladin of demolitions. I like that. All right, so looks like we do have some questions or more like hypotheticals, I think. But I asked for it. So the live stream, guys, depends on you. Depends on how you ask those questions and how I answer. So, all right. Anything on audio? Is audio good? Am I too quiet? All that? Okay. Well, until I hear from you guys. Whoa, sorry. All right. There we go. Very good. I've had a rather long day, not in any bad way, but it's just like I'm just starting to relax. So thank you. So let's just get started with these questions, these hypotheticals. Okay. So first question, he might not have been first on the stream, but his question that has come first. Professor Geek himself asks, or says the hypothetical, you've been placed in charge of the music for Cad Bane training Boba Fett arc. The Cad Bane training Boba Fett arc. How do you approach it? Well, that is a very good question because I think such an arc should exist anyway. I think it should still exist, even if it's its own separate thing. That should be a series. That'd be pretty interesting to have two bad guys as the main characters there. For music, if I were in charge, the first thing I would do is always refer to John Williams' score. John Williams' treatment of the orchestra, how things are arranged, what Williams does for a ramping up of tension, what he does for his slow points and slower music. So obviously work to John Williams and refer to John Williams. Also, it has to be the symphony orchestra. Some, characters like Cad Bane and Boba Fett, actually just really any characters in general with Star Wars, at least in this time period that we know, that is, it's got to be the orchestra. It's got to be the acoustic music. Not really so much piano. No piano. Piano's not really used in Star Wars. There's maybe one time I remember in, I think it's The Empire Strikes Back, but it's used in a percussive way. It's used as a more or less like a sound effect. So if it's used in that way, that's fine. But sticking to the traditional instrumentation, you got kind of I don't know, maybe a Western maybe even spaghetti western kind of feel with the comedy. There's definitely a comedy as it is dealing with two villains. There's definitely a comedy with Cad Bane, and I think his chemistry with Boba Fett would really work as a pretty good kind of comedic dynamic. Like maybe they start out as a duo and then they become enemies, and Boba Fett, after his training, finally takes Cad Bane down, because we know Boba Fett later as an older character to be quite competent as a character. I believe he's Mandalorian. So that's the first thing. So orchestra sounding like John Williams, maybe a Western feel, but not too far removed where you think of a Western film and not Star Wars. So there still has to be that element of Star Wars. And I would remove any use of electronic music. So that would be the case. Yeah, as far as tone, yeah, I don't really picture it to be kind of like that Western look, where you see one person, the first half of the duel and then the second half of the duel. I don't see that with those two characters. But yes, hopefully that answers your question. No electronics. Has to sound like John Williams, and it has to have the orchestra. Maybe a little touch of Western, but not too much. Not like the good, the bad, and the ugly. That would be a little pushing it. I like comedy, but I don't think Star Wars needs to have any parody in that respect. Big Al Presents says, actually, let me just scroll down real quick just to check if audio is good. Audio good? Audio is good, Dr. Y says, so that's good. Okay, back to Al's question. Big Al Presents says, what do you think the biggest mistake a composer can make? What's the biggest mistake a composer can make on a film score? Any examples of a very bad score you can remember? I don't remember a bad score. And I've used this example before because, one, I don't watch as many movies as you. So I might not have a palette of examples for you guys. But I have mentioned this before, and that was Jupiter Ascending. I honestly can't remember who composed that, to be honest. I do feel bad about not knowing, but I do remember it was just off-putting. The score was off-putting. The score, with those visuals of that movie, the score had to have electronic music. Didn't need retro synthesizers. I mean, if that's what the filmmakers wanted for that. It's got that kind of space, not cowboy, but it's got that kind of, it's like Cinderella in space. So it's cheesy, it's quirky, so sure, add the sense to it, but those visuals demanded something otherworldly. Stunning visuals, and it needed otherworldly ideas, maybe even extended techniques with the orchestra instruments. But it was the score never felt right, and I had only seen the movie once, but the score never really felt right. So whoever composed for Jupiter Ascending, what they should have done was actually take the electronic music route. And I'm a firm believer that electronic music, for all the computer processing power we have and for all the cheap technology we have, I think it's like the Murphy's Law, where as the years go by, it's a larger capacity at cheaper the cost, or is it the size of the chip or something? There's kind of I'm trying to think of the law, the inverse square law, kind of. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But the idea is that we have so much processing power, so much audio fidelity, that electronic music can actually sound in its soundscapes quite primitive. Well, it can sound humanly primitive. I'm not talking about primitive as being 1950s electronic music. We can associate soundscapes that are digitally produced now as though they were real sounds. So for science fiction, I think electronic music should really be the way to go these days, especially in the year 2020. I love the orchestra, but I don't think electronic music makes. I don't think, from the little I've seen in film, I think we can push for more electronic music with that kind of look, that Jupiter Ascending has. So I think that's what a film score composer would have to consider. A film composer would have to consider is, what does the movie look like? What does it feel like? And what sound palette should you use? Because if the orchestra makes it feel off, then we have to look to other alternatives. And also, well, I was kind of thinking of your question too. I will say also, music of Disney movies, of recent Disney movies, since I don't know, since probably 2010, has gotten a little bit more popish and for radio, and not for classical Disney film-esque type music. Yeah, you can bring in people. We had Elton John for Lion King, we had Phil Collins for Tarzan, and they did their own stuff with their own style, but it was still unique to that film, to Lion King, to Tarzan. And I think as Disney films went more into CGI, I think it started with Tangled, but I don't know when Tangled was produced. I think Mandy Moore sang the songs for Tangled, and I think that's where that was my first reaction to, this might actually be more for radio and not for Disney. So also songwriters, including in your question, Big Al, also songwriters would be I would say lumped in with film composers and what they should offer in terms of world building and storytelling. Big Al gives me another hypothetical. It's all these hypotheticals. I'm down with that. He says, you need to cosplay 3 Star Wars characters. Who do you choose, and which outfits do you wear? I think this is one of those things where being a man would be probably more fun as to cosplay Star Wars characters, because my favorite characters are men. But for female, I would, as far as a Force user, I would definitely do Shakti, because I think she's just cool. I liked her in Clone Wars. She's got like a blend. Her accent, I can't really quite remember. She's got like kind of a French, maybe Swiss, maybe even slightly Romanian, just a little bit Romanian. And I could do the Romanian accent because I lived with a Romanian landlady for a while. But she's got that interesting kind of sort of Central European accent that's pretty attractive. And she's very much in tune with the Force. I always I rooted for her to root for Fives, the clone who unfortunately went down in season 6. So I like her as a character. Other characters, probably. Well, I probably would do Mara Jade, simply because she, in the story, she wears a lot of nondescript outfits, so that would probably be easy to do. And who else? Probably Winter, but Winter older. So kind of like what we said before, Al, because I know you said it once at the book study, and I kind of picture it too. I actually do see a young, what's her name, Laura Dern, the actress. Only instead of, she has the Holdo look to me, except it's not this kind of meh brown purple gown and purple hair. It's completely white. That's the look of an older Winter who's in service to Leia, of course. So probably Winter, Mara Jade, because she'd probably be the easiest to just throw on something and then, hey, yeah, there. But something that I would take a while, if I had to do it, would be probably Shakti. I just like her as a character, so that would be mine. I would have done Ahsoka Tano, and I like Ahsoka Tano's outfit. I love her outfit in season 7, but I just don't think she should have been in season 7. Or if she should be in season 7, She should have just done the Mandalore thing without Rex or Anakin. Yeah. But I've said that before. We don't have to get into that. Netters Network, 5th thumbs up. Thank you so much. And yeah, good job also on your second live stream. I was kind of working along. Sometimes I was working in my music, so sometimes I had you guys real low in volume, so I didn't catch everything you said. But I wanted to watch you guys just to get you your watch time up and all of that. Dr. Y says, and I still love that blue lion icon, says, a big movie studio wants to adapt your story into a movie or a TV series. What studio would you want to bring your story to the big screen? I think any studio with the ethics, moral ethics, business ethics, and any studio that would wish to honor the original creation of that author. But I actually don't know. I don't know studio names. I'm always impressed with was it New Line Cinema that did Lord of the Rings? That's pretty impressive with the Weta Workshop and all those collaborations, with Lord of the Rings. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Hobbit films, but Lord of the Rings stands as a classic now. So, I mean, if they have their moral ethics, I'd be great to collaborate with them. But, I think we're in an age now. I was just talking about computer processing power and technology. I mean, filmmakers out there who aren't big names or aren't part of big name studios, you can do a lot of sophisticated stuff like world building for science fiction now with very powerful and relatively inexpensive technology. So actually what I would love more than anything is for my stories to be adapted by smaller studios or local studios. Because actually, I live next to a local studio in Raleigh, and they do phenomenal work. They do TV series and all that, and great sound design, and it's local. It's in Raleigh. So I would say I would probably actually I would start hunting for lesser known studios because the technology is there. The technology is so there to produce a high quality film at relatively inexpensive. Well, I shouldn't say inexpensive, but relatively cheap. I mean, compared to how much movies costed, in the 80s and 70s, when processing power and when things had to be actual sets. And I love actual sets and people working in the miniature props and all that, the building of Minas Tirith and the detail that goes into that kind of stuff. I love that. And I think there should be that still. But if you don't have that, we have the technology to produce amazing worlds for just a fraction of what it costed, a few decades back. So I hope that answers your question, Dr. Y. I'm an independent artist, and I support the idea of independent filmmakers as well. People who would actually care about the project and not what the project could be used as, certain platforms. I see you guys are talking. Oh, by the way, yeah, let's welcome some others. Oh, let's go back up. Owen Lister, yes. Good evening. Good to see you. And Daniel Heron. Hello, awesome people of YouTube. Good to see you. And Melissa Harris also. And Wolf 10 Media. And if Aged Boomer's here and I haven't seen him yet, welcome. I'm great live stream last night. I was away from YouTube Sunday nights. Sunday nights are usually kind of a bad night to be on YouTube, but excellent stream. I've been listening to your stream that Troy hosted last night during lunch and dinner and making dinner. And you guys are funny. You guys, Wolf10, you're very well articulated with your thoughts. Aged Boomer has a really nice voice. It was really, because I think I had heard you, Wolf10, speak before. I hadn't heard Aged Boomer speak, and I was like, wow, he's got a really nice, clear voice. You guys have nice, clear audio with your microphone and all of that. And I know I know sometimes background noise can't be helped. That stuff does actually pick up quite a bit especially with device output speakers. So, I mean, of course we have to look out for that too, but sometimes that can't be helped. But you guys, the three of you were just making me laugh. I mean, it sounded like you guys had a lot of fun doing that. And I very, very much enjoyed that stream. So I hope it keeps up. I hope you and Aged Boomer, or if Aged Boomer feels comfortable doing it on his own, I hope you guys keep that up and keep up the geek news. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think now that the prof is, looking more to the book studies and the rewatches, keeping up that geek news is a good call, since you guys are really into that as well. So congratulations to you guys on that first collaboration together. I thought that was a really good first run. So congratulations. And I hope I see more of that. Very, very good stuff. Even if I can't catch it live, I'll definitely refer back to it during like a lunchtime or cooking dinner. Owen Lister says, what up, Sound Engraver? Listen to any good songs lately, preferably from the 80s and 70s. There's a band I need to get back to listening to. And they're from the 70s, I believe. Gentle Giant. That's a good group. 70s and 80s. Not lately. Do you have any recommendations? Yeah, the electronic music that I listen to is pretty current, but going all the way back down to the 2000s. Jean-Luc Ponty, I think his more his early 2000s, maybe 90s. Joe Satriani, 2000s. Actually, I think he would pronounce his name Satriani. I kind of shorten the A, Satriani. Good stuff. Of course, Dream Theater. Why not? I always have to mention Dream Theater. Music I've listened to recently, probably just classical music. I've been going back to Beethoven, and all that good stuff. Oh, well, I don't know, Melissa Harris. Well, I don't use these terms because it's just not how I use it, but I do understand your sentiments there. How do you feel about these people attacking classical music? I haven't seen much. I mean, here in the past decade, there have been programs, classical concert programs that feature women composers, which is fine, because back when classical music was played and composed, there were a handful of female composers, and they were great, and they should be recognized, and that's fine. I'm not really totally into you have to have these lines of composers, whether they're female or what have you. I would say it is, classical music. I've also seen programs where it's celebrating women in music. Now, this is a little strange for me, because it's pretty, like, you can't be totally absolute equal in numbers with classical music, but in orchestra, in opera, it's men and women. Like, there's no disproportionate figure. There's no, one out of 8 people in this ensemble. You know, one is a woman or something like that. So I think when people really try to step up and say, we got to celebrate women in music, I was like, have you not been to an opera? I mean, women are celebrated all the time. I mean, with great parts, great arias. Also, orchestras, they're fine. Both, concert masters and concert mistresses, I think. I always said concert mistress. I don't know if that's actually an accurate term. Or the concert master would be a woman. So I always found it a little strange that people had to focus so much on women in classical music, because it's like, women were, lifted to the skies with great music and all that, and virtuosos, like world-class musicians. The number of men and women are, from my experience, from what I've seen, are the same. It's pretty much the same. The one thing that's different is conductors. It's been predominantly male conductors, but women conductors are on the rise, and that's cool. But the thing is, that kind of thing has to do with interest. The woman has to be interested in conducting. You can't come to me and force me to get a wind ensemble conducting degree or an orchestra conducting degree just because the numbers aren't, to your fancy or to your liking. So but that's the only thing I've seen in classical music. I haven't seen anything too much. But this kind of philosophy that we see in franchises, it's everywhere, and that's just the way the ball bounces. And as long as no one stops me from producing electronic music, that's cool too. Oh, got another one. Sound Engraver. In my comic, Beetle Blaze, it's about a humanoid bugman who fights other bugmen called insectinators. How do you approach that musically? I don't know. Flight of the Bumblebee? That's bad. Wah wah. No, actually, how would I mean, that sounds like it's based more on kind of a science fiction world, right? And the world sounds pretty... are they life size? Are they human size? And they just have kind of a fusion. Humanoid. You said humanoid, so not completely human. So that sounds pretty science fiction. So I would probably use some kind of driving synths. I picture that for sure. Oh, okay. So I thought it was Jupiter's Ascending. Giacchino, who I think is fairly awful in general. Probably not the person. You're not saying he's an awful person, right? Probably just his score. I'd have to see, but the actual, that name does sound familiar though. And it's not that it was a bad piece of composition. It just was a little... It wasn't quite right. It just didn't align with the story quite right. But to be honest, I'd have to listen to it again just to be sure. I think people are moving outside. It's nighttime, and so I'm hearing thudding going on. So, oh well. Professor Geek says, have you ever actually composed a soundscape or piece of music to go along with one of your stories? Not yet. Not yet. I'm actually not at the skill level I want to be for something like that to happen. Now, I have themes. I have 3 themes for different characters. But one day, but I'm not that skill level. I mean, I really want to, I'll type in an album for you guys. This is a band name, and I think it's just one person. What was his name? Oh, his name escapes me. But his band name is called Azura. And if that's a name for anything that's, religious, that's against my religion, I don't care. It's good music. So I think it's a name of some deity or something. But Azura, I could be wrong about that, by the way. I don't know why I even brought it up. Azura, Life Squared. And so the 2 next to it is squared. And what is... Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the track name that I listened to forever. Well, Life 2 or Life Squared. Celestial Tendencies is one of them. But that's not the main track that I listen to. And that just bothers me so much because I love that track. But I'll have to think about what track that is. Maybe I'll... Oh, I kind of want to look it up right now. Guys, forgive me. I got to look this up. Because I'll recognize the track name once I see it. So let's see if that is there. Yes, Back. I think it's either Back to Light or Back to the Light. Probably Back to Light. I think that's what it is. It's awesome. And that track and in that album, that definitely set the tone for the beginning of my space opera. I love it. But not yet. I still have to... Actually, I would like to get to Azura's skill level, to be able to compose music of that magnitude before I started composing for my stories. But it definitely will happen. I could dress up as a Jawa. That's a good... Yeah, I mean, I forgot about the side characters sometimes you miss. Yeah, that's a good idea. And Wolf 10 Media is like Mace for me. I can see that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I like Winter as a character. I think she's pretty intriguing. Oh, and you said, sorry, Wolf 10, you said Quinlan Voss, which I think he's cool. I don't know who Jolene is, but I think of the song. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I haven't sung or haven't sang yet today, so. No, absolutely not. I won't cosplay him or his Chiss species. I refuse. He's fine. Thrawn is cool. Can I make my amends? He's fine. He's cool. Yeah, I mean, ask around, Owen. I mean, especially if you're into comics and stuff like that. I think you meant to say collaborate. I definitely ask around. I definitely, for me, I have to hear how the person speaks, how they talk, and if there are things to talk about. My stuff is more music based. You might want to also look into just people who do what you do. Like sketch. That's cool. I actually have an interview with a professor in Michigan in a month or so, and he teaches electronic music. So, so mine's more a little bit. Well, that's gonna be for his channel. He's trying to start up his channel, so I want to help him out. And he does real cool stuff. But get some content out there. Get people hearing your voice, hearing how you talk, and stuff like that. And definitely, especially with your stuff in illustration and storytelling, definitely look around for that. Oh, don't worry, man. No. I mean, I heard some sounds and stuff like that, but no, don't apologize. That kind of stuff happens. Yeah, very, very, very good. Well, I don't need to forgive you. No, well done though. You're really funny, Wolf 10. You had me laughing. You're kind of pulling out a little bit there, where he started breaking out into song and stuff like that. Really, really good stuff. Yeah, Pink Floyd. I got this right? Journey to the Center of the Earth. No, Center of the Sun. What's that album? Isn't it the Center of the Sun? Isn't that their album? Yeah. I gotta listen to more, classical metal. I don't as much as I need to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Aged Boomer. You have a terrific voice. You're clear, concise. You've got a good tone to your voice. Very, very nice. And Troy was just an excellent host too, kind of just ushering you in. But excuse me, I hope it takes off. Whatever you guys are talking about. Oh yeah, absolutely. I was Wolf 10 says I was taught to speak proper English at a very young age. I make it a passion. That's I think important. I grew up with grandparents who really valued etiquette and being polite. And people, I mean, I knew people who would just dismiss that, saying being polite, that's not anything important. Just express yourself. And the thing is, polite is a gesture of respect. Like I'm respecting you. It's like, maybe people feel like they can express themselves by having bad BO. But okay, maybe you're expressing yourself, but what is that doing to the person sitting next to you? You're not respecting the person. You're not considering their comfort or their level of discomfort. Now, that odor was just the thing that just came off on the top of my head based on some memory I had. But the point is, speaking and articulating and and also, with streaming, you notice Wolf 10, and I think you've done it with, not the example I'm about to say, but you have done live stream with Ishi and Kat, where it's very easy to interrupt the other person, not meaning to interrupt, but you have a thought, and you kind of think the person's done. If there's a little bit of pause, but maybe it's a pause between thoughts, and then they're going, and then everyone stops, and like, okay, who's going to speak first? And it's just part of the process. But how you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Troy." Like there were times where nothing wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, but that natural interruption that happens with live streaming, and you said, "Oh, excuse me, Troy," or "Excuse me, Aged Boomer." That was great. So I guess we have established that we do call him Aged Boomer, right? I'm fine with either, but yeah. Oh man. What was the last season of Power Rangers you watched? I don't even know how many seasons there are. I watched Power Rangers when I was 6 years old. That's almost 30 years ago. So I don't I don't remember. I hear like construction at night. That's what it sounds like, but I think it's just people moving. Owen, you probably just don't know me. But thank you. Oh. And one listener says, I always thought women sang opera better than guys. You mean better than men? Because they are men. Mostly because I usually associate opera with the high-pitched voice. Oh, man. Like, oof. Like, men, especially baritones. The tenor's fine. Like, do you guys remember Craig, who I invited on? I was kind of giving him a hard time because my favorite, well, he was actually giving me a hard time because my favorite male range is the baritone. I love baritone. I love the voice of baritone. And baritone is usually associated with the paragon or the older character or the father figure. It could also be the villain too. It's not common to have, from the opera that I have seen, it just wasn't as common to have the tenor be the villain. I think there has been, I think it's Eugene Onegin by Tchaikovsky. I think the male romantic lead is baritone. But Well, Magic Flute, I think the villain is tenor as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, check out, let's see, a great baritone soprano duo happens in La Traviata by Verdi. And yeah, men, well, both tenor and baritone and bass on occasion. But when men sing opera and they can sing opera, it's just like it's so present. It just like it pulls you in, just like with a woman singing a beautiful, coloratura soprano, or even just a melodramatic soprano. Or my favorite range for female, maybe it's because this is my range. I don't know, but more of that mezzo soprano, medium high to kind of that alto. That's my range and that's my favorite. But sometimes when I just listen to the soprano, it's like, whew, very good. And a lot of opera that I have seen, whether it's staged in real life or even a very good film production, the women are very, very attractive, and they're very, in shape. And I mean, not all of them, but to have that stamina to be on stage for 2.5 hours with the lights coming down and all that, and to be able to, they project such a volume that the way opera singers can project that volume is pretty far out there, because they don't need a microphone. I mean, there are some microphones, set high above, but a real phenomenal opera singer can cut through a whole orchestra. I've heard it. I've been in an orchestra where I've heard it, and it's pretty unusual. There's nothing like it. Oh, and Lister says, oh, this is to Age of Boomer. I thought it was to me. It's a little bit of sci-fi. Not too sci-fi. My character turns into a humanoid bug. That sounds sci-fi to me. But it's all biological, if that makes sense. Oh, so kind of using bioscience of some kind. I would still venture to probably at least light percussion. Or not light percussion, I'm sorry, light synthesizers. Like a light use of it. Someone I really like, and I'm sure I've written his name before. It's just one guy, actually, but his artist name is Cinnamon Chasers, and he does that kind of he does kind of like a new version of disco, but it's like a light electronic kind of feel. But it's quite nice. Daniel Craig says there's a movie called Jupiter Rising and one called Jupiter Ascending. It was Jupiter Ascending that I was talking about, so maybe different. JJ, Giacchino. I'm sorry for not being able to pronounce this Italian name. Troy would know. He's probably scolding me right now. But this composer is JJ's main collaborator. I love that we can say JJ and know who we're talking about. That's just terrible. He did all the Star Trek films and Rogue One. Oh, Rogue One was okay from what I remember. I think it was fine. Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Y. I thought that it was some sort of deity. It's a demigod being from Hinduism. Yeah, I thought it was that. And it's like, oh, wow, he's one of my favorite artists, and I don't associate his music with any, ritual or incantations or anything like that. I just knew. I was like, I think it is based on some sort of deity. But the band, I think it started with 2 people, and for the life of me, it's like Christopher something, I think. Oh, Charles Farewell. That's his name. And so I really do like his music. Yeah. Back to Light. Yeah, I think it's Back to Light. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yep, there you go. Oh, okay. Wolf 10 says Jolene Bindo is from the game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Cool. Yeah, I don't know any of those characters there. So I guess I'm not a Star Wars fan, huh? Sound great. Jolene came to my mind too. Nice tapping into your inner Dolly Parton. Thank you. Yeah, that's a nice song. It sounds so painful and it's so well done. All right. Yeah. Troy, I can hear Troy saying, "Yeah, I don't see you as a Chiss, more Zultron maybe, but not Chiss." Okay, I'm gonna check this out because I want to see if this is a compliment or an insult. More, Zul. What? Tron. I hope I don't see anything ugly. Let's see. Oh, I hope this doesn't. Oh, what's this nonsense? I went to like the fandom page, but is she the one dressed in black with the short brown hair and the purple lightsaber? Because she looks cool. Is that the one? Or is she a species? Because this person looked human. All right, Big Al presents a very, very good question. What would your lightsaber look like and blade color? Well, I don't know the shape of lightsabers besides just what I see on film. It wouldn't be Zerba's lightsaber. That looks pretty pathetic. So probably whatever Anakin has, because that's cool. My blade color, I have really liked, for her story, for the story arc that she has in season 7, whatever. But I do like Ahsoka Tano, and I haven't seen Rebels, but I have seen scenes of her, fighting in Rebels, and I love the dual white blades. I would probably, I mean, one's fine, So having a white blade, because it's unusual. It definitely distinguished her, her character, leaving the Jedi Order. I thought that was a pretty interesting take, and that was, I think there's a history behind that specific color. So probably, yeah. Like if I had to choose, I'd probably get the dual blades, and I think they would be white. Now people say that the yellow is such an ugly color for lightsaber. I don't think so. I mean, Rey's yellow was terrible. Why they had a dark yellow, I don't know. Or I guess it was supposed to be gold. No, it didn't look like gold to me. But yellow, if I had to choose, like I'd either have like a kind of a sea green lightsaber, which would be kind of cool, or like maybe a bluish green lightsaber because it represents something unique to me. Or I would have one of my favorite colors. My favorite color. I get so happy when I see this on advertisements and billboards and stuff like that, and it goes well with black. I love that really bright. It's a lime green, but there's more yellow than lime. I love that. It's kind of like a color of a tennis ball, where it has that definite green, but it's got a lot of yellow in it. It's one of my favorite colors ever. And every time I see it with black and silver or something like that, it's like, yes. I get so excited. So that would probably be a cool color. I could probably make that work. But as far as the traditional what's been out there, probably the white blades. That's good. I kind of freaked out. I just listened to Jolene earlier today for the first time. That's unusual. That's cool. I'm glad I could give you that meta moment. Oh, yes. Thank you for saying the whole. I knew it was a long title. Set the controls for the Heart of the Sun. Yes. So I've listened to that album. Is that a track? I thought that was an album. I thought that was a whole album. But last time I saw it or listened to it was probably about 5 years ago. Yeah, I like Pink Floyd. I mean, I don't binge on Pink Floyd. And it's been a while since I've listened to Pink Floyd. Wolf 10 says, I get very excited that I jump into it, so I catch myself to allow. Oh, yes, for interrupting. Excuse me. Still having a little bit of dinner. I get very excited to jump into it, so I catch myself and allow someone else to get their thoughts out before me. I don't like to feel like I'm hijacking the stream. That's a very, very good attitude to have. It's easy because you want to share your thoughts, and for me, especially when it's a panel of more than 4 people, unless we're going around taking turns. Sometimes I'll have a point, and maybe like in a rewatch, for instance, I'll have a point, and then I'll want to say that point because I know I'll forget that point. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I can't speak, and then I'll eventually forget, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it, Troy. I said to him that I think aged as in wizened or wizened, like wizard or sage or something, rather than aged like cheese. Yeah, I agree. What can I say? I love metal. Yeah, but that's a very specific kind of metal, right? Is it? What is it called? Isn't it like with Black Sabbath? Isn't that called black metal? I don't know. I'm more into kind of like that gothic orchestral kind of metal, and I usually like instrumentals. I don't like the screaming into the mic, or if it's not screaming, it's whispering. It's like just like. Do you hear my little glottal work there? Glottis. Yeah, I think. Oh, cool. Helden tenors are the real heroes, and not just because Helden is German for hero. Full baritone and tenor range. Incredibly rich sounding voices. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll definitely look those up. Thank you for the recommendation. Daniel also says, I was going to say mezzos are more satisfying than sopranos to me. I think mezzo sopranos are probably better for that maybe either older woman or confidant of the love interest, like a best friend, or total enemy. I like one of my favorite seeing mezzo sopranos is Iago's wife. I forgot her name. I don't know her name, but she just totally rats out on her husband and how evil he is for trying to take down Othello, if it's the play. And she just, I remember seeing this woman, she very beautiful brunette, just kind of belt it, well, not belt it like in a pop music way, but just kind of really get a lot of that darker. It's a darker female tone that I really like. One listener says, the closest singer I can think of that can totally sing opera is Freddie Mercury, the lead singer from Queen. I mean, those guys, Robert Plant, Jamie, I think Jamie Labrie is his name. I think it's Labrie is his last name for Dream Theater. Whew, Ooh, man, they know how to do it. They just know. They have such a huge range, and they could just pelt you with that voice, and I like it. Professor Geek asks, "What are your top recommended operas for the uncultured like myself to check out first?" I always wanted to try Eugene Onegin after reading the Pushkin poem. Probably, I mean, if it's a good adaptation, it's nice. Uh, it's I remember liking it, and actually, there's a famous orchestra piece based on that opera. It's like an overture where the people are dancing in the ballroom. It's called Polonaise. Dun, 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 bum, ba, da, da, da. I'm not gonna go higher than that. Bum, ba, da, 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 da. And it's like just like a nice little rhythm there. It's very fun to play as a violinist. So I would start there. What would be my favorite opera? Well, man, Italian is the way to go. Italian is the way to go. So, I'm gonna first say Verdi, La Traviata. Well, Traviata's good, and in fact, actually, I was comparing it. Yeah, I was mentioning the rewatch La Traviata because of the kind of the storyline, uh, where it's kind of that socialite flake of a woman, but she has a deeper heart that's slowly, coming to surface. She has a love interest. Then she does something actually out of sacrifice. It's a total sacrifice. She says no to him, and he feels betrayed and accuses her, and then there's this reconciliation at the very end before she dies. It's good, and actually, you know what? I saw it on YouTube for the whole thing for nothing, and it's well done, good sound and stuff like that. La Traviata. He does Shakespeare. Otello for Othello. Iago's great. Yeah, Iago as a baritone is awesome. Macbeth is his earlier one, and it's a little bit more of the romantic classical. So I would start with Verdi. If you like Mozart, I would start with the Magic Flute. Um, I will recommend Don Giovanni. It's got a very tense, slightly borderline horror scene at the very end, and unfortunately, the main character is condemned to what, where, and it's pretty moving. What other Mozart opera? Magic Flute, Don Giovanni. Oh, I'm sure I'm missing like a really important one. So as far as opera, but Magic Flute has the Queen of the Night opera, and that is awesome. You can't go wrong with the Queen of the Night. Very, very good stuff. But I'm actually not an expert on opera, though. I actually, you know what? Probably also, goodness, Barber of Seville. Rossini. Wait, I think that's right. I think that's the overture for that. Speaking of volume, this is Daniel Craig. A local former tenor used to hold an opera and open mic in Old Town in this little cafe. He hit tones so loud your brain would rattle in your skull. I bet you it would, because that voice, that if it's a cafe, like a smaller space, it can't hold that voice. Like that volume is just bouncing around all the walls, and it's probably assailing you. It's probably assailing your hearing, because opera singers are trained to have that projection. Like it's the trope or the cliche, like a high pitched projection and breaking a glass or something like that. It's sometimes it's like for the person to be out of tune, but I think that has more to do with volume to have that glass shatter. I don't know. Who is that? That sounds familiar, but I can't. Who was that? I don't know. Story question, part 1. Have you ever had a happy accident when creating a character? Like something you didn't plan on happening? Yeah, is that part 1? And should I read part 2? Oh, part 2 is, for example, I have a character whose background and name accidentally connected with biblical symbology. That's cool. I mean, not like an accident like that. Most of my characters are pretty intentional. They're organic, you know. So for instance, like someone I didn't dream of, introducing until I befriended a really kind, really funny Indian woman, and I love the sound of her voice, and I love her name. She spells it. The real woman actually spells it a little bit differently than how I'm going to spell it in the book. And of course, it's a galaxy far, far away. It's not actually of an Indian heritage or that kind of culture. But that's how I see her in my mind. And I wouldn't have dreamt up this character had I not befriended this actual real life woman. I remember seeing this. I don't think I can use this name because I'm sure it's a villain somewhere, and I won't say it in the live chat. But I remember my last job before teaching music, I was a receptionist at this plant, at this foam paneling, buildings and cold storage and all of that. And I would see a number of solicitors and even CEOs and all sorts of different people come to the front desk. And I remember kind of I would look at these people's business cards and I'd write down a name that really stuck with me. And I remember this guy, I kind of felt bad for him because it was kind of a creepy sounding name. And I just looked at the name and I just came up with this really disturbing character. Really, really interesting, fascinating character. But he is wicked. He is wicked. And it was that name that just made me think about it. I would answer phones and I would just be like doing like those monotonous emails that receptionists do, and I would just be thinking of this character and just like, this is really cool. So as far as those kind of happy accidents, I think, but apart from that, I've always had just things that just organically came from my imagination. Your example sounds pretty interesting though. Any specific example that was biblical? Oh, I see. Oh, Owen Lister. Oh man. Oh, I gotta go back to these albums. I gotta go on my Spotify because I haven't heard these albums in forever. I'll load up my Spotify. I don't really listen to Spotify anymore, but I'll load it up. Wait for it to like take 5 minutes to load up, and I'll recommend you the album. I think it's called Arctic, but I can't remember. No, I don't think that's the name. It just starts with A. Oh, it takes forever. Sorry, guys. There we go. So I'll let that load up. Spotify load up because it's so slow. Okay, Zeltron. That's an EU species, right? And it's loading. Dark pink. Dark pink. Oh, I can see that. Yeah, sure. Are they a little bit oh no, video, don't stop. I'm on Wikipedia. Yeah, I guess. They look like angry creatures though, too. And I'm not an angry person. But yeah. But no, I mean the headdress would probably be really heavy, you know, Shakti, but she's cool. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so Love Deluxe is one of the songs. Yep, absolutely. Very good. Yeah. It's great. I think I didn't skip anyone here. Owen Lister says, I would go with Luke's green lightsaber. Who wouldn't go for that, right? From Return of the Jedi. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Daniel also says, if yellow were very dim like Anakin's original blue, it would be fine. Yeah, like a more whitish yellow, or kind of maybe even a little bit of greenish yellow, but kind of a yellow that looks pure, like a yellow of the sunlight, something of the sunlight. If it's actual, if the light of that saber looks like it's from the sun, that's fine. Gold, how does how is there gold light? We think of gold light when light is cast on something like a tree, like a pine tree in a sunset or something. We think of that as being gold, but light itself, that's very hard to convey as gold. Chain sword. You could trade in that lightsaber for a chain sword. Unleash the Emperor's wrath. That's an emperor I'm not familiar with. Owen Lister says Bible Man's lightsaber was yellow and it looks cool. Yes, I mentioned Bible Man. Fight me. I don't know who that is. Mr. Matchstick says, speaking of Mara Jade, anyone know what happened to her? One of the Professor Geek regulars from back a while back. Oh, the actual person. I don't know. I'm sorry. I was like, don't you remember the book study? Luke gave Mara Jade her lightsaber, and she goes with him to discuss the next move for what's about to happen. Yes, thank you. Click that thumbs up and subscribe, people. Yes, slow and steady. Slow and steady. Paladin with your references, man. I don't I don't know. Oh, that character is freaky looking. I'd like to have Darth. Okay, is it Nile or Nil? Nil is the computer term, but Nile probably would, of course, be like nihilism, annihilation. Yeah, spear lightsaber. Yeah, that's. I don't know how else I would have a lightsaber besides the traditional looking kind. What's your favorite longer song? A long song? A song? I don't have a favorite song. I can't think off the top of my head. I'll have to think about that. I'm so terrible. I mean, I like well, I mean, it's probably not it's not too cynical. It's just so well done, compositionally done well, and that is Pull Me Under by Dream Theater's Images and Words album. I'll have to think about that, Mr. Matchstick. Yeah, yeah, I approve. Aged the Wizard Boomer. Yes. Oh man. Any opera. I'm sure there's metal opera out there. You should just check out like kind of that operatic style for metal music. I'm not an opera snob, guys. I don't know everything. I just love Verdi. I mean, for metal, you probably would have a lot of fun with Wagner. Wagner's huge, but he's very chewy. His stuff, some of his stuff is just gorgeous, absolutely just breathtaking. So you might actually like more the German flavor of opera. Wagner. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, metal songs. I kind of like 1-2 Punch and of excuse me. I kind of like the 1-2 punch of And Then There Was Silence by Blind Guardian, and then the Odyssey by Symphony X, the longer metal songs that recount the Iliad and the Odyssey. Cool. Yeah, a lot of those bands, also in the 70s, they'd be like almost like troubadours, the traveling musicians that would really sing their stories or recount the tales in music, and I think that's pretty cool. Daniel Craig says, Soundgraver, almost I have a strange metal album to recommend. Omnific. Omnific? Omnific, The Mind's Eye. Is that based on a science fiction classic, The Mind's Eye? No, I'm thinking of a different title. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Melissa's right. The Ride of the Valkyries. So I think probably Wagner for the real melodramatic stuff. I like more of the succinct stuff. Like, it's still quite dramatic, but there's something about the Italian composers that were very simple with their narrative, with their musical narrative, but also quite impactful. Puccini's another one. Can't go wrong with Puccini. Maybe I should write in. Oh no. Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. Well, this one's a little bit. This isn't as fantastical. This is real world. La Boheme. But I cannot spell La Boheme. Sorry, guys. I gotta look this up before I type it because this would be so embarrassing. Oh, you know what? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So a couple of them. Actually, so let me write that one down. No, that's not it. Right. And also something that's quite powerful and quite dark. Well, I mean, dark to me. It's probably not dark to you guys. Yeah. Probably a really, really good one that I was impacted by was Puccini's Tosca. That's a good one. And those are real, based on not real people, but real life events, like a story based on, like I think, Italian uprising. That was, okay, it was premiered in 1900, so a little bit late. Yeah, very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. But again, like, ask me about more classical symphony music. I see, again, like, I compose. I'm an instrumentalist. I compose instrumental music, and any voice that I would do would be just more like part of the background or middle ground, unless it's an actual song. All right, 11:15. Wow. Okay, so I might probably wrap it up around 11:30, maybe 11:45 ish. That way I have just a little bit of time to write before I turn in. H Boomer says, "What's the geekiest activity you've ever taken part in?" Probably my collaboration with Professor Geek. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Yeah, because I'm not an active geek, you know? Meaning I don't go on forums or I don't go cosplay or go to these conventions. I'm not a geek as much as I just have a love of Star Wars. Never had like a party. Never had a party where it was like games based on Super Collider either. Although the indeterminacy of Super Collider, I probably could set up some fun random games and stuff like that. Geekiest activity, gosh. It would have to be something to do with video games, but old school video games. Old school. Super Nintendo. Guys, you'd be disappointed. I saw I think it was it's either a credit union or like a loan company for home loans or something like that. I can't remember. But they had a picture of they had an advertisement for 80s music, and they had different items from the 80s. Well, one item in particular was not an 80s item. It was the control pad. It was one of probably the first designs of the control pad for Super Nintendo. Well, that was introduced in 1990. So I was like, oh, you guys did not do your homework. I'm very, very disappointed. Excuse me. Yes, it's in an EU species started in Marvel Comics. Not sure where they appear besides the Zeltron. Is that how you say it? Cool. Are they as intelligent as the Chiss? I kind of want to pronounce the Thrawn species Kiss because I always pronounce the CH hard. Like charismatic. Dr. Y says the character started out as a Blackford Anthro lion. I wanted to give him backstory explaining the dark fur, so I changed him to a lion leopard mix. Part 1. Oh, I like how you're saying this. Oh, where are you? I also changed his name to Judah Alasdair. Alasdair, is that how you would pronounce it? Judah makes sense because he's a lion. The Lion of Judah. Yeah. I accidentally linked his name to and breeding to Bible symbology, the tribe of Judah represented by a lion. Cool. As long as there's nothing sacrilegious about that, I'm cool with that. Yeah, but well, be careful because the Lion of Judah, I think is a name that is associated with Christ. I'd have to look at that. I'll look at that because I could be wrong about that, but you're treading some waters there. I mean, I do things with a clear conscience. If you have a clear conscience doing that, then that's also another thing. Yeah, I Paladin demo. I had a feeling it had something to do with 40K because so the God Emperor isn't 40K, and 40K isn't Palpatine because Palpatine would be classified as chaos and executed. Well, I mean, characters. I mean, yeah. I mean, do all franchises have to? Are they subservient to the world building rules of Warhammer 40K? I think Palpatine's is pretty chaotic, but Palpatine's really the only emperor I know as fiction. My tastes are so broad. This is Daniel Craig. My tastes are so broad and mood changes enough that I can't pick a specific favorite song. I don't have a favorite song. No, I don't. I even songs I really like, they're still not my favorite song. Sometimes I like to listen to Michael Jackson. Sometimes I like listen to Alison Krauss. You know, like it just depends on the mood for sure. Absolutely. Oh man, I don't know. What is? Well, just I don't know. Just explore. Because I don't really listen to a lot of opera. So I would explore. I can't think of it. Most of these titles are in German that I can't spell off the top of my head. But just explore. You know, I gave you a name because my preferences to different pieces that composers would write might not be your preferences either. So I would just take take aside like, or maybe you're doing email or something like a menial task, and then just kind of if you YouTube Wagner, what will tend to happen is you'll pick up, the search engine will pick up the most common, most frequently sought out Wagner pieces, and I think that would be a pretty good start. Dr. Y says, Alasdair is an English version of Alexander. In the book of Daniel, the kingdom of Alexander the Great was represented by a four-headed leopard. Yeah, that's getting into some prophecy there. Daniel Craig says, were you thinking of the Star Wars book Splinters of the Mind? I think that was the title I was thinking. By the way, that album has no lyrics, all instrumental, only 25 minutes. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, all this talk about great operas, and nobody is bringing up Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny. Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit. It's the only time he doesn't have his gun. And it's kind of a sad ending, too. Yeah, I would start with, oh, goodness, Wagner. You have to be in the mood and you have to invest the time with Wagner. But, you know, I'm sure he wrote smaller instrumental stuff too. But of course, he's known for his gesamtes Werk, which is all-encompassing work. He was in charge of the music, the libretto. He was in charge of the stage work. He was in charge of the production. He was in charge of all this, like this kind of universal control of things. Gesamte Werk, I think, is the German term for that. I don't know if it's used anywhere else outside the music context, but that's what that means. Yeah, that's a pretty important point. There is French opera. I'm not really familiar with the French opera. In English, the famous one is Henry Purcell. I can't spell it. Dido and Aeneas, but I can't spell Aeneas right now. I don't think that's how you spell it. I gotta look it up, guys. Dido and Aeneas. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Okay. Here we go. I think that's right. Yeah. Oh darn! I spelled it wrong. But you'll get the picture. That was a pretty famous English opera. Yeah. I would have to listen to some more French operas. And actually, Craig, yeah, Melissa, you made a Hey Arnold reference, but my friend Craig did mention Pagliacci, so I would say start with that too. Mm-hmm. Daniel asks a pretty good question. Are there particular instruments you find harder to compose for? Yes, for what you want to do. If you want to do a lot of range and soundscapes, and you want to be as flexible as possible, I had found in my composing, I had found brass instruments to be the hardest to compose for, especially trumpet and something like tuba, because they are flexible, and especially if you have a capable performer. But with something like a tuba, which is constructed, and it has that built-in range and tone for something like a walking bass, or just kind of going as the floor. Well, if you want something versatile and something like musical gymnast of sorts, with tuba, you really have to think, and you really have to collaborate with the performer. I wanted to write a solo tuba piece when I was an undergrad, but I don't think it came to anything. I think I was talking with the tuba player, but I don't think it had come to anything. I did write for a quintet, a brass quintet, and that was awful. That brass piece was just not good. And I remember one of my professors, telling me at the end of the show, and actually one guy didn't even show up to perform my piece. I think he was a euphonium player. He was a bit of a flake anyway, but he ended up not playing. And actually, the thing is, like, his part removed actually improved it. That's what I remember, but it was still bad. It was still bad. And I remember that after that show, that concert, I was in the hallway, and one of my professors came up to me and he said, "You missed the mark. It wasn't good. It wasn't good." And I was like, "I know." And I had a stiff upper lip, but as soon as he turned away, I just started crying. Yeah, brass instruments are very hard, at least for me, in my experience. Wind instruments, I feel, have more flexibility and can move through things much more dynamically. String, because I'm a string player, even with bass, I have the knowledge on what to play, and what the string player, like if it was a bass player, to do. So what they should do or what they could do. I'm just more intuitive, of course, with strings. Well, to be fair, 1990 was still in the 80s phase, just like 1980 would still have been some 70s left before it truly became the 80s. It's still 90. And besides, it was 96 when 94, 95, 96, that's where the cool games came out. No, I associate Super Nintendo with 90s because I'm a 90s kid. Maybe that's just being biased. But they should have done like the NES. They should have done the NES control. That'd have been cool. That'd have been more historically accurate. Spirit magic helmet, magic helmet, magic helmet. Yes. Oh wait, how does he say it? Yes, magic. Oh, that's low for me. Helmet, and I will give you an example. It's a little too low for me. Oh yeah, exactly. That's a good cartoon. Oh wow, cool. Was it good? Was it a good opera? Or was it more like an oratorio which has the it's opera without the set work. Oh, there was another definition for that, but I can't quite remember. What do you think of the Masks of the Phantasm score? I don't know because I've never seen it before. Owen Lister says, funny you mention and Aeneas. I had to pronounce his name after saying Dido and Aeneas. Funny you mentioned Aeneas. I actually came up with a superhero of the same name. He's my Superman analog. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know what that name means. It seems like a lot of modern, Daniel Craig says, it seems like a lot of modern soundtracks tend to stick to the strings. Do you think the difficulty you had with brass might be the reason why? Oh, yeah. Yeah, brass also, is associated with a lot of things like big band and swing, Benny Goodman. And also with synthesizers too, because, the way a trumpet emits sound is kind of, it's got the same harmonic structure, like as far as spectral music is concerned, or spectral tone. It's got that same, almost that same sound as like a triangle wave or a sawtooth wave for a synth. So it's got that trumpet sound. So there's an association with that as well. Strings also have the ability to sustain for as long as your arms stay up. So, I mean, of course, my arms would eventually get very, very tired for a long time, but brass and winds and even piano, they have a limitation. They have a limitation. They can't sustain as long as a string player because what produces our sound is just the constant dragging of the bow. Yeah, of course, we have to change the bow. That's for sure. But as long as our arms are moving and holding up, we can sustain for ever. And a lot of people, especially, with that kind of Pacific Northwest, West Coast feel, like that kind of minimal music, independent score or independent film feel, also stuff out of New York. A lot of that flavor is really done with the strings. People like strings. And I'm actually not a fan of, completely strings. And I remember talking to this. I have a student who's a pretty good pianist, but he took up violin, and he says he doesn't care for piano music in film, and he's a pianist. He loves piano, and I was like, I get that, I get. I don't really care for the piano in a film score. I just never really have, unless it's done really well. But I'm not a fan of the piano music in the film score or in the TV series. There's just something about piano that almost pulls me out of the actual drama. I don't know why. It's always been that way with me. And it's the same way with strings for me too. I'm not a fan of layering of strings. Even with an orchestra, like, okay, you've got the cello, then you've got the viola, then you've got the two sets of violins, and then you've got bass, and that kind of stacking of strings. I'm not a fan of that either. But I think strings, this is just my opinion, because another instrumentalist, maybe a clarinet player or bassoon player or a trombone player, they might disagree, but I think strings are just a little bit more flexible and a little easier to write. People default to strings a little bit more. There's kind of a schmaltzy, sentimental, kind of caramely flavor of strings anyway. We rock. Waylon Smithers, welcome. Nice to have you. I haven't seen you before. Do you like Bugs Bunny cartoons? If so, could you please do a reaction video of Wabbit season? I think you'd really like it. It's 3 minutes long. Thanks. I love that episode. Here's the thing. I probably would do something like that. Well, it's not music related, so I'd have to, kind of try to keep it to the music, even though the music is pretty good. I looked up Wabbit season, Duck season episode on YouTube a few weeks back, and man, there are some questionable responses to that request, and it kind of scared me off. I couldn't find a complete episode because I was looking for it. I was like, I want to see this again, and I couldn't find a full episode. I'll have to look again to see, but I do, if I could do it, I would do a rewatch of a lot of the different Warner Brothers cartoons because of that kind of music and the soundtrack and the use of incidental music and also just original music as well. And all that good stuff. There's definitely a factory track. There's a farm track, the da dun da dun da dun da dun da da. I think that's Pure Gin Sweet. I think that's what it is, but I'm not sure. Owen Lister says, could Mel... Is it Blanc or Blanc? I've always pronounced his last name Blanc, but I think it might be Blanc. Voice of all Looney Tunes characters, be good at opera with his regular voice. No, I think that's a different talent. Yeah, that kind of vocal talent is a totally different breed. No, he's a voice actor and he's a darn good one. Well, he's passed now, but he's phenomenal at what he does. But he's done his specific characters. My favorite Looney Tunes character, hands down, Marvin the Martian. He's got great lines. He's one of my favorites. Super Nintendo. No love for Sega Genesis. I never played Sega Genesis. I never had Sega Genesis. I don't think I've had friends or family that... Maybe I had a couple friends that did Sega Genesis. And shoot, if I had it, I would totally be doing Sonic the Hedgehog and all of that. But I never had it. Never had that console. So it's not that I wouldn't have love for it, but I never have it. See, you're reminding me of what I didn't have, Agent Boomer. Well, what was robbed of me in my childhood. I think Melissa is... are you singing, Melissa, how Elmer Fudd is doing the opera? Yeah. I love my... It's supposed to be tragic that ends up killing, the character Bugs Bunny, or he's like, north winds blow, south winds blow, lightnings, and then smog. And I never knew what smog was as a kid. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. We don't have smog. So I was like, what is he saying? And I used to think, oh, wow, smog is like really terrible. And of course it's really terrible, environmentally, not the best thing, of course. But he says it in such a kind of an, aggravated, evil way. I thought like, wow, this is worse than lightning and winds and stuff. Yeah, that's right. That's funny. Sound Engraver. Oh, wait. Dr. White says, I can't remember. I only remember one scene of it where they were supposed to be in the whaling boat and it was represented by a projected outline of the floor. Yeah. Set work can be pretty interesting. It can also be pretty simple. The only thing is, this is just a preference. I have seen opera productions where it's just great, phenomenal music, great, phenomenal singing. And then the set work is like, why? Why does it have to look like this? Why does the costume have to look like this? This has nothing to do with the story. Where people really try to be a little too creative. I just prefer old traditional costumes. All right. Looks like I caught up with chat a little bit. We'll just round it up. Did you guys like this Q&A? It was more hypotheticals and then talking about it off. But I'm open to doing something like this again. Maybe more on music, or even ideas of writing. Even though I'm not a professional in that regard. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of curious, Waylon. You said on second thought, don't watch Wabbit season. Yeah, I mean, I love that episode, but from what I had seen on YouTube, I'm like, what is this? And maybe that was just on my device or whatever. Like, maybe it changes every day or something, and it's totally normal looking now. But it was just like stuff out of people's imaginations. Is really just kind of anyway. So a couple more things on the chat. Yeah, I'll probably wrap it up probably about 5 minutes or so. I have noticed it's very difficult to use brass in pop songs and not have it come out as kind of corny. Oh yeah. It's so hard because brass, they have a distinct tone and they have an association, whether that's, Trumpet Voluntary by Jeremiah Clark, for the old, antiphonal choral response in a church or a sanctuary, whether it could be symphonic, in the later 1800s and getting into the 1900s, the big band, Duke Ellington, Benny Goodman, Lindy Hop, the swing and stuff like that. And then getting, of course, there's kind of a shift into rock and roll and all of that. But it is hard to blend. It's hard to blend brass, but a genre, of course, actually that does brass very, very well. It gives that brass that unique tone is noir. I think brass is used very effectively in something like noir. So, and also the use of solo brass. It doesn't have to be a section. It could be a solo trumpet player. It could be euphonium. I think euphonium. I associate euphonium with brass, but I wonder, French horn is technically. Oh, euphonium is a. I think a smaller. Well, it's a treble version of tuba. I think. I'll have to check, guys. It's getting late, and I momentarily forgot what euphonium is. Sounded great with the best piano film score. Okay. Anything Charlie Brown can have piano in it. I take that back. You win, Dr. Y. That's a very good point. No, I'm talking about more just like Hallmark movies or even the big budget films that would use piano music. I like more extended techniques on piano. So using the inside of the piano, as well as polychords or tone clusters, or kind of more of an ambient use in piano as well. Oh, of course. Yes, I would love electric guitar be for a film score. I think that's fantastic. In fact, I should probably just try to find it. One of my characters. Why not? We'll do this. I think I was going to post it. Actually, I might post it on the Facebook page, Professor Geek's Facebook page. But I'm gonna put a link. Hopefully this is off. Okay, it's off. No, it's not. Sorry. I can't multitask on YouTube. Joe Satriani, Up in the Sky. That's electronic music or electric guitar, and this piece is the impetus of one of my characters. I would just love if I ever wrote his theme, it would be based off of this song by Satriani. It's called Up in the Sky, and it's phenomenal. Daniel Craig says, "What do you mean by film score? Does it have to be a classical style piece, or do you mean in general piano doesn't work?" I just don't think piano, like for me, it's just a preference. I don't care for it. I don't care for it being in film. So I mean, the composer can do it, and has done it. You know, it's a totally traditional instrument to use in film, and it's been used in a lot of, especially independent films. That's kind of the vibe that I get. But I'm not a fan of it for film. It's just not been. It's just a preference, though. I'm not saying it shouldn't be used for film, by all means. It's just something I don't care for. It's more for that kind of Hallmark kind of family style, like kind of like you would find in like the syrupy Christian pics, you know. Something like it always gives me that impression, you know, unless it's experimented on, unless people do it really well. And I'm sure there are examples. I have to watch enough film to understand that. That's what I mean by just piano in general, not a classical style piano playing or anything. Just in general. All right, we can wrap this up soon. Yes, thank you. Noir is good. I'm enjoying that. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and just wrap it up for a little bit. Oh, good. Thank you for saying that. That's a good recommendation. I haven't listened to them, so awesome. Thank you for recommending that. It'd be nice to include more brass, but that is a section that really kind of gets lost in both film music and also in electronic music. All right, let's wrap things up so I can go ahead and write. So Mondays, of course, live commentary every Monday nights. Oh, it probably might be pushed back to 9 again because I have a student. She actually was my one remaining student who insisted to be, being in person, which was fine. But she and her family are moving, so all my students are online. So I might be teaching from home again, beginning Mondays until something else happens. So if I am teaching from home, I'll probably just push it back down to 9s if I can. 9 p.m. Eastern at night. Probably light topics, just kind of just hanging out, chilling with you guys, at least the next week or so, because I have a couple projects to take care of. And if I can set it up right, maybe I'll do a live stream with where you see me in my work. If I can make that work. I won't be in StreamYard. I'd be doing it on OBS, and hopefully I could read the comments. And if it comes to the point where I couldn't read the comments, then I would just do StreamYard and we'd just talk about random stuff. So if I don't have a topic by next week, I'll probably go ahead and maybe try to just show you what I've been doing. Just some projects, just kind of tinkering and being in Logic Pro, or finishing, doing a live stream, kill two birds with one stone, do a live stream, and then finish a project or show you a project that I'm working on, and then we can just kind of have a light chat. So probably the next couple of weeks, expect something light. So between ballparking 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And Tuesday we are on our rewatches with Professor Geek on his channel, and it's going to be this time Out of the Past. It's an excellent movie if you haven't already seen it. If you want your dialogue witty and tight, this is the movie to turn to. I really, really enjoyed this one very, very much. So this is probably going to be I understand it might be, we'll take a small break from noir and get into screwball comedy after this week. But Out of the Past is going to be a very nice closure to that. And I think the prof is going to go back to noir, but I don't know. we still might be doing noir, but this is a good one. I really do like this one. It's one of my favorites that we have come to so far. So tune into that 10 p.m. Eastern on the Prof's channel tomorrow. Wednesday, man, Aged Boomer, man, Wolf 10, do something on Wednesday. You know, I usually do my YouTube videos Wednesday night, but I could probably listen to you guys in the background while I set up shop and stuff like that. But hey, Wednesdays are still open. Not that I'm entitled to Mondays. If it's easier to do Mondays, do Mondays. Yeah, Wednesday, of course, is pretty open. Check out other channels, of course. Scoundrels on the Prof's channel, book study Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern with Big Al presents. And the chapters are going to be 17, 18, and 19, right? Chapter 17, 18, and 19, which is awesome. I'm halfway done. This is great. I'm all caught up, hopefully. I only have 30 more pages to read. It's awesome. And yeah, that's Thursday. Always be on the lookout for Fan Man's Second Cup Cafe, ballparking, 10 to 11 a.m. Central Time, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And he might have something going on Friday night. Always look for that. And rewatch Al. Wait, who's the rewatch next? Al. I think it's Al. I think it's Crawl, right? So go ahead and put that in, Al, if you're still around. I think it's Crawl. So that looked pretty interesting. Might be a little too intense for me. I don't know. I've never seen it, but I probably will be engaged. I'll if I'm working in the background, I'll tune into to your channel. Tune into your channel, I think is how you would grammatically say that. And then also Goblin Slayer on Mr. Matchstick's channel next Sunday night. And Mr. Matchstick, go ahead and leave a time, that is, so we're all aware. But all this could be announced. All this could be said. I mean, I might as well. Why don't I do this? I should start doing this. I have to go on a different browser to do this. Because I don't know what I am. I'm a little silly. I'm gonna go on the Professor page. Professor Geek page. I think this is the link. I hope this is the link. Oh yeah, and also I think the Prof has a writing stint, like a 45-minute stint before the rewatch. So be on the lookout for that. And I think that's right. And if it's not right, Troy can post the Facebook page. But that is, I hope that's the right link. I tried if it's wrong. And thank you very much, Mr. Matchstick, for clarifying the time for your anime rewatch. Hope you guys have a great time there. And good. And then also very, very fantastic, Dr. Y. Good. Keep, make commentary. Guys, I mean, I really do encourage you. If you guys are really going into this YouTube thing, do commentary. Don't just do streaming. Do commentary. Commentary is actually what people really, really like. And you got to keep it up and keep it consistent. It can be small too, like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be long, but people are interested in seeing projects and seeing what's out there. So definitely post just a fixed video, a fixed commentary video on your art or geek news and different things like that. Oh, cool. Welcome. I don't know who you are, but welcome. NTC Pedro Peter News. I love your content. It's helping me get into live coding. That's fantastic because I don't live code. So I hope I've been helpful there. That's something I haven't explored. But very good for you. Good. Awesome. In SuperClutter, I assume, or Raspberry Pi? No, not Raspberry Pi. Sonic Pi. Cool. Thank you. So recap really quick. Mondays, my channel. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Prof's channel. Wednesdays, it's open. Fridays, Fan Man's channel, and rewatch on Big Al Presents channel this coming Saturday, and also the Weeb Watch on Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Always be on the lookout for some more sound experimentation every Monday nights. No, Thursday. Thursday. And then live commentary every Monday nights. And until I see you next, keep producing the art you love, and I will catch you later. Thanks again.